What's more expressive of spring than birds and flowering branches? Hi, welcome to another video. Today I'm going to show you two bird-themed romantic spring arrangements. First, we're going to do a birdcage arrangement, and we're going to do my first birdhouse arrangement. So let's get started. So you all know how much I love bird cages, and I found this beautiful white bird cage at Michael's. It was marked $29.95 and it was 50% off, so it's only about $15. I especially love this bird cage because it's got this delicate, almost lace-like white floral pattern on it and these cute little gold feet. So we're going to do a really fun arrangement in here contained within this bird cage. The materials we're going to use today are these beautiful romantic lavender, violet, whites, and sort of an icy pink. Now I found these mums at the flower market, and I kind of wanted to base this design on these incredible mums. These are sort of an icy pink mum with a pale green tip. And I thought, how expressive of spring, this lilac-y color kissed with spring green. And then we have these beautiful ranunculus that almost echoes the colors of this mum. It's also that icy pink with green, and you've probably seen me use a lot of this in my Easter videos because this is a new ranunculus to me. They've been having this at the market last few weeks, and every time I go, I have to buy some. And so I'm basing it on these colors, but I thought these icy lavenders and almost blues would be really beautiful with it. And we're going to have a very demure and subtle color palette in this beautiful bird cage. Now, the mechanics of the bird cage we're going to use today is a little white ceramic tray. I have a piece of floral foam in here, and I put chicken wire over it because we're going to put some branches in later. I put the chicken wire in there so that the foam won't break up. And we're going to do the arrangement inside the bird cage. So it's going to be a little bit tricky. I'm going to start with just the flower arrangement itself without the bird cage to start. And then we'll put it in and finish off the arrangement inside the bird cage. So I'm going to set this aside and just use this little container here. Now, whenever you're doing an enclosed arrangement, the space is always smaller than you imagine, and you don't want your arrangement to look smushed in there. So I'm going to try to keep this arrangement as vertical as possible and slender, and when I put it in, we can always add elements to it. So I'm going to start with greening in the arrangement, and I have some beautiful pink jasmine that I cut from the garden. And I'm going to start with this because I thought these tendrils cascading in and out of the bird cage would be really gorgeous. And the pink jasmine is great right now. I also have some white jasmine that I bought at the flower market. I only grow the pink jasmine, but there are some white jasmine too. So I'm going to put some of this in here and just kind of let it cascade for now. And then we'll kind of play around with it when it's inside the bird cage. So I'm kind of using the pink jasmine as greenery, but with like a romantic frilly floral element to it as well. I'm just going to kind of put it around the perimeter, and it kind of hides all the mechanics. I cut the foam a little bit bigger than the container, so it's slightly elevated, and that way we could put things in sideways. So that you have a little extra foam space to work with. We have a little bit of boxwood that I cut, just a little bit of greenery, just to hide our mechanics a little bit. Okay. I figure I'm nothing like birds to express spring. And I'm partial to birds. That's all you all know. I had a floral design teacher who told me that in the 80s, if you put a bird or a bow on anything, it would sell in a flower shop. So it was all about birds and bows. I've been a floral designer since the 90s, but not the 80s. Okay. So we kind of greened in with our jasmine, and now we're going to go ahead and use some of the flowers. So I'm going to start with the mum since it's such a large flower, and we don't have a lot to work with, I'm going to use the largest flower first. I'm cutting it really short, setting it down low, because if you put it in the flower in the bird cage, we're kind of looking down into the arrangement, so I want you to be able to see it. It's sort of like a focal point for this arrangement. This beautiful mum that I've never seen before. I don't know if there's different names for these mums, but whatever this is, it's really gorgeous. And I'll put in some of that beautiful pink ranunculus. I have some very beautiful lavender roses. This is a lavender rose called Ocean Song. It's kind of a small rose, but it's a hardy rose. It lasts really long. It doesn't bruise very easily like a lot of lavender roses. And I love that it's like a beautiful icy lavender color and not like a mauve or plum color. A lot of the lavender roses have a little too much red in it. I like that this one has a really icy blue kind of hint to it. We have some beautiful, cool lavender or almost periwinkle scabiosa. I'm trying to be careful to keep the flowers contained within the space. Keep it kind of narrow because I've done a lot of lantern arrangements, birdcage arrangements for events, and they all have a lot less space than you imagine. And you don't want your arrangement to look like it's squashed in there. Okay. Maybe I'll put another scabiosa back here. I have some little freesias. Freesias are great in here because of that little pretty tip, and it's a little bit directional, so it gives your arrangement a little bit of dimension. Okay, it's looking pretty good. Okay, I'm gonna turn around so you can kind of see what we have here, and then it gives me an opportunity to kind of finish the back side of the arrangement. I'm gonna put I don't know, I was gonna use some of these dark purple anemones, but I think I might keep it more lighter lavender. Maybe I'll just put another little rose back here to cover up the foam. Oh, I know, I'll use another one of these mums. Here's one stem that's a little bit smaller, and then I'll cut this and use it down here on the back side of the arrangement. So we have another mum in here, and it covers the foam a lot, which is kind of nice. We need a little bit of more of the greenery to cover our mechanics down here. See how the pink jasmine is so wonderful? It's like a greenery without it being greenery. It adds like a floral element, very light and airy looking, but it helps you cover your mechanics as well. I have another piece of jasmine here. I'm going to put it back here. It covers a lot of your mechanics and adds this beautiful romantic element to your design. Just putting this jasmine upright a little bit. Okay, looks pretty good. Now, I hope I have left enough space for what we're gonna do. The next thing I'm gonna do is going to put the arrangement in the bird cage and see if it fits nicely and if we need to add something to it or take something out. But I've kept it really small. That's a nice thing about buying props like bird cages and things like that. You see me use lots of interesting props because you can do a really spectacular arrangement with not a lot of flowers. So if you grow flowers in the garden or you're just buying it from the grocery store, you don't have to spend a fortune. You have an interesting prop and you can create something really spectacular without spending a lot of money on flowers. And you also have a fun prop to use even if you just want to put an orchid plant in there or a potted plant on during times when you're not doing arrangements. So I'm going to put that in here, and it looks pretty good. It's not too big. It doesn't look like we're trying to shoehorn in an arrangement. And now I'm just kind of try to put the jasmine in here. Another reason I did the jasmine is just to hide that little ceramic dish. It's okay if it's visible, but I don't want it to be a big part of this design. I just want it to be sort of inconspicuous in here. And that's why I chose that little white ceramic dish. It's like a little ramekin or something like that. It's not for flowers. It actually is just for making custards or creme brulee or something like that. Okay, and here we have a large piece of pink jasmine. I'm trying to think, what do we do with this one? Do we keep it in here, or do we let it cascade down? Maybe we pull it in and have it cascade out the front of the bird cage. I think that'll be pretty. I'm going to pull it through like this so that it'll cascade onto your table. That is pretty. And I am moving the arrangement to one side so it's slightly asymmetrical. So this is what we have here. We have the pink jasmine coming out. The arrangement itself is a little bit to one side of the bird cage. And then we have the jasmine cascading out here. And then we're going to go ahead and close this right now and add some branches. This is why I want to do the arrangement first, because once you add branches, you can't open this anymore because it's going to be coming out of the wires here, the cage part of our bird cage. So I have some beautiful branches here. These are just branches from a sycamore tree. There was a huge windstorm a few weeks ago in my area, and the sycamore branches were blown all over the place. And I just foraged these from a parking lot. I don't have any sycamore on my property, but I got these from the parking lot of a strip mall that had tons of sycamore, and they were all over the place. And I thought, oh, these branches are so beautiful. I love that they're kind of grayish and they've got kind of that nubbiness, and they're just like basically garbage all over the place. So I just grabbed some from the parking lot. So I'm going to go in here. I left a little bit of space in the floral foam on one side because I knew I was going to do the branches. So I'm just going to put these branches in here in the floral foam. Now the branches actually don't have to even be in floral foam because they don't need water, but I'm going to put it in there just so that, they're anchored. And I'm just cutting the wood into sort of a slanted diagonal to take less space in the foam. I'm going to make sure I know where the front of my bird cage is so that I can add the branches in the right position. So just letting it go in. This is why I had to do the chicken wire on the floral foam, because I wanted to make sure it could withstand a large branch like this. Having a hard time getting it in. There we go. Okay. 2 woody branches. I have a third one. I don't know if I need it because I don't want to break up the foam too much. That's the tricky part. I'm using very small mechanics, but I'm trying to put these branches in. Okay, let's do a third branch in here. This one, I'm wondering if I could just tuck in here. Okay, so here's what we have right now. We have these branches coming out of here. And then I have some of these faux flowering branches here that I'm going to add in to echo the woody stems and add sort of a romantic line to our arrangement. So I've cut these a little shorter to the length I want. These are just faux flowering branches you probably see me use. These are beautiful because I like that the little flowers are white, and there's nothing on here that looks really fake. And I love that the stem is like a faux wood and it looks very realistic. I have this wired on a wired pick so that it will stay stationary in the foam. Okay, have that in here. We're going to bend it a little bit to echo the shape of our sycamore branch. And I think I'll do another piece here. Do I need another piece? Do I do a shorter piece maybe? Because I'm afraid of breaking up the foam too much. We'll play around with this a little bit. Do we put a piece here? No. I don't know, maybe. What if we could bend it down like this? No, I think I'll maybe add a branch here. Just a medium length branch here. Okay. And the great thing of faux materials is you could bend it into the shape you like. Okay. That's really pretty. I like that. And I do think I want another piece here to almost create like a crescent look. So I have a short piece here that's also wired onto a pick, and I'm going to try to add it over on this side here. So that we have that same material coming out kind of with our jasmine. And this is what we have right here. We have the jasmine, a little bit of this woody stem coming out, and our real branches there. That's another thing I often like to do is mix real woody branches with faux flowering branches, so it looks very, very realistic. Okay. And then I have this cute little bird that I want to add outside the bird cage. I love birds. I don't like to see them in cages. So I think it would be fun that we have a bird in this bird cage arrangement, but he has escaped. He's not in the cage. I can add him here. It's just a great little clip-on bird that I bought on Amazon. I like it because he's very realistic, looks like a real little bird. And here we have it, our little bird cage arrangement. Super easy to do. Just gotta kind of work out the mechanics of it first. You don't need a lot of flowers to create this arrangement. And when you have a cute prop like this, you could just even put like a potted plant in here and it will be something special. I really like how this turned out. Didn't use a lot of flowers. I love that our little bird has escaped its cage and is standing on a branch outside the cage. So it's just a really romantic expression of spring with birds and spring flowers and branches. I always want to inspire you to buy interesting props. You don't need a lot of flowers for an arrangement like this, but it's a lot of impact in the home. I think this would be really beautiful in your home. And you can do it with silk flowers, fresh flowers, or even just a potted plant. So this arrangement is going to feature a birdhouse. I've never done a birdhouse arrangement, so I'm going to show you how to do one. I went to Hobby Lobby to buy a birdhouse, and I couldn't find one that's the right size until I found this one. Now, this was actually an unfinished wood birdhouse. You know, it looks like popsicle sticks. And it was the right size and kind of the right shape, but it was kind of ugly. And I thought, okay, I'll buy it and see what I can do with it. I liked how this turned out. I just spray painted it with some dark brown spray paint that I happen to have, added some little twigs and moss to the front to make it a little more rustic. And I think we got the birdhouse. All right. So I just greened in with some viburnum. Viburnum was the greenery that kind of spoke to me because I wanted it to be kind of a rustic arrangement and very natural looking. So the whole arrangement is going to go inside this beautiful birch covered oval container. I just put a little riser in here so that the birdhouse can sit a little bit on top of the foam, and we have a large piece of floral foam in here as our mechanic. So let's get started. What I'm going to do is actually create sort of a crescent-shaped arrangement. Crescent-shaped arrangements have been all the rage, and I thought, why not have one with a birdhouse as a focal point? So for my long crescent line, I'm going to use some beautiful sycamore branches and some faux white cherry blossoms. So these are part of that same haul that I got from that parking lot that a few weeks ago. We had all these branches blow off of a large sycamore tree in a parking lot. So I just salvaged some, and I'm going to just put in here, sort of creating I'm just sort of putting the branches in to create a setting for the birdhouse, if that makes sense. So I'm putting 3 branches of this knobby wood in here to create a setting for the birdhouse. It almost looks like it's, on a branch or something like that. And then I thought, well, let's add some beautiful faux white cherry blossoms since we are doing a spring arrangement. So one of the tricks that I do is I often do real branches and mix it with faux flowers. That way it looks very realistic. You have the real wood branches and the faux flowering branches. I'm going to put a large branch back here so you have some dimension. I want this to be a very natural looking arrangement with a lot of sort of woody elements, woody rustic elements, as well as a lot of movement. Okay, and here I'm going to show you what I have. I have the branches and the faux white cherry blossoms added in. It already adds a lot to our arrangement, right? And I'm doing this in scale with the size of the container. The container is a pretty large container. And then to finish the other side of our crescent, I'm going to add some more shorter wood pieces on this side. I'm going to add it on different planes, the larger one in the back and the smaller one sort of in front. So you create sort of a 3-dimensionality in your arrangement. And that's sort of the boundaries of our crescent. And the flowers are going to just be contained within this crescent shape. And that's just going to be the easy part. We're going to just add some beautiful white flowers to this arrangement. We've got beautiful white ranunculus, anemones, snapdragons, rice flower, freesias, all the beautiful flowers of spring. So I'm going to start with some of these large ranunculus that are grown locally in Half Moon Bay. Half Moon Bay is just south of San Francisco, and it's where a lot of the cut flowers in our area is grown because it's sort of a consistent 60 degrees or so in Half Moon Bay with morning fog. So flowers love it there. Just going to add some of these beautiful, they're so huge, these ranunculus. They're bigger than roses even. Keeping this color palette simple, I think it is going to be very beautiful. I love an all-white arrangement. When I do my design shows, I often have, I used to always do like one large arrangement that's all white. Now, I don't know where most of you get your flowers. Send me a comment below to let me know where you source your flowers. I mean, I am in the business, so I'm always going to the flower market. And in San Francisco, we do have a beautiful flower market. I would be curious to know where most of my viewers buy their flowers. Are you going to big box stores like Costco? Are you going to grocery stores like Trader Joe's, Safeway, farmers markets, or are there like flower farms where you are that will sell direct to consumers? I'm curious to know. Okay. I also added a little bird to the wooden birdhouse. The little bird, this is hilarious, is a broken hummingbird. It was a faux hummingbird. Its tail somehow got chopped off. And I don't know why I kept it. I just found it. And I said, oh, yay, I have a bird small enough to fit inside the little birdhouse. So that worked out. Just adding some white snapdragons to this arrangement, just kind of reiterate this crescent line and also visually balance this large flowering branch here. I have some of this pretty green material. It's called dock. Dock is actually a weed. You can sometimes see it growing on the side of the freeway, but I have never seen dock this healthy and gorgeous. I mean, it almost reminds me of Bells of Ireland, but a little lacier and less heavy. So I thought it'd be pretty to add a little bit of dock in this arrangement for an interesting texture as well as a really pretty spring green. I greened in with sort of a darker green because I just felt like it looked nice with the birdhouse, the dark green of the viburnum. But some of this light green will lighten up, will give a brightness to this arrangement. You know, for a long time, that was one of my favorite colors, was pale green in arrangements. Did a lot of pale green arrangements for weddings, green and white. Really beautiful and fresh and neutral. It was very popular for a while. Should I add a few stems over here to add a little green to this side? I almost don't need it because we've got the flowering branches, but maybe a little peeking through. So that we have some green here too. Oops. It's hard to add in because we have so many branches over here. Okay. Oh, this one's broken. Okay, so we've added some of our dock in here just for a little bit of green. I also have beautiful rice flower. Rice flower is one of my favorite filler flowers. It's so lacy, but it's actually kind of substantial visually, so you can really see it without it disappearing in a large arrangement like this. I'm going to add some here in front of the little birdhouse. See how pretty that is? I have some longer pieces of this rice flower here. So you don't need a lot of flowers for this arrangement, even though I have a lot of flowers here, just because we already set the lines. Gosh, these freesias are so spectacular. They're so beautiful and healthy right now, and the stems are so strong. So often the freesias have such flimsy, skinny little stems. These are so hardy and beautiful. I'm going to show you some of these beautiful freesias. Look at these, so gorgeous, right? And they smell wonderful. I love that peppery scent. Very pretty freesia. So I added some freesia. I'm going to stand back and take a look. Don't want to overwhelm this with too much stuff just because I bought so much stuff. I have some beautiful Queen Anne's lace, one of my favorite materials to use. I think maybe we'll add a little in here just to give it that lacy, romantic look. Almost don't need it because I have this rice flower, but the Queen Anne's lace is a little lighter and airier. Not sure where I'm going to add it. Maybe back here. I also don't want this to look very flat. Even though it's a one-sided arrangement, you always want to make sure your one-sided arrangements don't look too flat. You want to give it, you want it to have a lot of dimension. And that's making sure it's three-dimensional looking by having flowers on different planes and having flowers come out the front as well as have some flowers on the back. So it doesn't look really flat. I'm going to cut some of the side buds of the Queen Anne's lace and add this to the front of the arrangement. So you have something coming out. Okay, I think we're almost done. Maybe do I want to add a Queen Anne's lace on this side? Yeah, why not? going to find a smaller ranunculus to add to the front of the arrangement. Because the ranunculus are so big, I hesitate to add another huge stem of it because it's going to look kind of heavy. Maybe a freesia bud would be pretty with the freesias here. The freesias are so full blooming, they don't even look like freesias. So I think adding the bud would make it look more like a freesia flower. Okay, it's really pretty. Maybe another stem of Queen Anne's lace in the front here. Okay, I'm going to take a look to see if I need anything else. We got a really big grouping of flowers here. Do we need to balance it over here? I think we're pretty good. Maybe one more freesia here. The freesias always get tangled. It drives me crazy. It's because I have all these side buds and they, when you pull one out, pull all of them out. Okay, here we go. That's a nice grouping of freesias. So here we have our beautiful birdhouse arrangement with all white blossoms. It's kind of got a sort of a rustic and romantic vibe to it. And we incorporated our cute little birdhouse. I really love this arrangement, and I think it'll last a long time because you've got a large water source and the flowers we're using are generally long-lasting flowers in here. The freesias, ranunculus, should last you a good 5 days. So I hope you had fun watching me make these videos. I certainly enjoyed it. You know how I love bird cages, and now I have a fun little rustic birdhouse to use in future floral projects. I'm so glad spring is here. The garden's starting to come alive, and I hope I've inspired you to create something spring for your home. As always, please like and subscribe, send me a comment, and I will see you in my next video.